Have you ever heard about gas shielding when it comes to welding and wondered exactly what that means? In this video, we're going to talk about shielding the weld pool, the importance of shielding the weld pool, and the different types of shielding that are out there, including shielding gases and shielding flux.
One of the most common things I see beginners overlook is their gas shielding of the weld pool. Maybe you've never heard the term gas shielding, so what exactly does that mean? The atmosphere that surrounds us is good for our bodies and it's good for us to breathe in. However, it's not good for a molten weld pool. A molten weld pool needs to be shielded from the specific gases in our atmosphere so that no contamination occurs during the welding process. Most times during welding, we do this by supplying an external shielding gas. This external shielding gas displaces the atmosphere around the molten weld pool. Now, shielding isn't always done in the form of shielding gas. Sometimes we have fluxes on stick electrodes, for example, or in flux cord wire. These shielding fluxes are a powder that is applied to the outside of a stick electrode or often to the inside of a tubular wire for the flux cord process. As the arc burns off the flux creates a shielding gas around the molten weld pool. This protects that molten weld pool from atmospheric contaminants. Shielding gases and fluxes, in addition to protecting from atmospheric contamination, also can provide benefits to the arc or to the weld pool. As an example, in the MIG or the flux cord welding process, straight CO2 can be used. Straight CO2 has a tendency to provide a more aggressive arc as well as deeper penetration. CO2 is also a little more inexpensive, so if you're doing heavier fabrication, running straight CO2 might be a good choice for you. When it comes to TIG welding, in most applications, we prefer to use straight argon. Welding with pure argon is known to help arc stability, and while your penetration may not be as good as something as a straight CO2, for a thinner application or a lighter TIG welding application, pure argon is often the best choice. Pure argon can provide a very stable arc and a very consistent weld bead pattern. Pure argon is most frequently used for TIG welding because of these properties. Most of the time when we're TIG welding, it's going to be on a little bit thinner material where we're looking to control our arc and our heat, and argon allows us to do that. When it comes to MIG welding, in addition to straight CO2, many people will use a 75-25 or an 80-20 blend of argon and straight CO2. This blended gas gives a mixture of desired welding effects when it comes to MIG. The straight CO2 helps with penetration, but the argon helps to stabilize the arc and minimize spatter. Something that's often overlooked is the correct setting of the gas flow rate on your flow meter. Included with your Weldpro machine is a flow meter that can measure gas flow rate in cubic feet per hour. Depending upon your welding process, you'll want to adjust this flow meter to the correct flow rate. Now, before I list a bunch of flow rates out there for you, let's think about this critically so that you can make your own decisions on flow rate when you're welding. Starting with something like this number 6 TIG Cup. This is a relatively small orifice opening. It's only about 3/8 of an inch in diameter, so we aren't going to need that much gas flow to adequately shield our weld. When using a cup with an orifice size like this, you can usually set your gas around 15 to 20 cubic feet per hour. You want to be cautious not to set it too high because it can increase turbulence outside of the orifice and increase weld contamination because of that turbulence. So next, let's think about something a little bit bigger, like the orifice on this nozzle on this MiG 200 gun. Something like this is going to require a little more shielding gas. Not to mention MIG, as compared to TIG, will often have a wider, hotter weld pool that requires a little more shielding gas. For a standard size MIG nozzle, you might want to start around 25 cubic feet per hour. And if you're finding that's not adequate coverage, going up to maybe 30 cubic feet per hour might be necessary. Now let's contrast this with something much larger, like this gas lens you see on the front of this TIG torch. This particular gas lens has about a 1-inch opening and it's diffused by a screen inside. Something like this is going to require a gas flow rate of 35 or greater, even as high as 50 cubic feet per hour, to provide adequate shielding over the entire weld zone. For standard welding, using a gas cup like this isn't necessary. Typically, you'll see this in applications on something like stainless steel, where excess shielding is required to maintain a consistent weld appearance. All that to say, the bigger the orifice opening, the higher you'll need to set your gas flow rate, so experiment with it. If you're getting some porosity or some black contamination around the outsides of your welds, go ahead and adjust your flow rate a little bit and see if that makes a difference. Welding processes that require an added shielding gas aren't preferential for windy conditions or outdoor conditions because that shielding gas can easily be displaced by the wind. Hopefully this gave you a little more information on shielding gases, shielding fluxes, and how to critically think about your gas flow rate. As always, if you have any questions or comments, don't hesitate to leave those below. Thanks for tuning in, and we can't wait to see what you build with your Weldpro machine.